Well, I attended Donald Trump's speech, the State of the Union today, and it was a kind of eerie and somewhat bizarre speech and environment. It was like we were in a parallel universe. That's what's going on in our nation. The vote that tomorrow the Senate will have to take in terms of either upholding the articles of impeachment that the House of Representatives sent that I voted for, or not to. And it appears that the Republican majority will uh, let Trump off the hook and cover it up. But today's speech, at a time when you have this as a backdrop, where you have a country deeply divided, the president chose to throw red meat to his base, to stir the same emotions of division and hate that he is famous for and that his administration is famous for. He talked about some things that I agree with. Research into prenatal for babies, I agree with that. I agree that we should have family leave for all Americans, not just some. I agree that we need an infrastructure bill that rebuilds the infrastructure of this country, our roads, our bridges, our broadband, our technology, our avenues to digital information, so that every part of the country can reach it. Rural, reservations, poor communities. I agree with that. That's not the issue. The issue today was to stir on the issue of immigration, sanctuary cities, using the very painful, sad, and tragic situations of that the one family that was there suffered in the loss of a loved one, and say, because of this, the whole system and anybody that is an immigrant or is seeking to come to this country, therefore, is also a criminal and should be treated this way, as a criminal. You saw it when he talked about sanctuary cities, that any city that chooses to empower its police force to do community policing, and for all residents, regardless of status, to feel good and protected, to come to police with information that will make those communities safer and more secure, without ever having the fear that that information could turn into other legal problems for them as immigrants. Communities choose to do that. They should be allowed to do that. That is what a democracy is about. And it became a campaign rally, a pathetic campaign rally, full of misinformation, outright lies, taking credit where credit is not due, whether it's the economy, whether it is kids doing better in our schools. And then he said, I'm here to protect healthcare for all and pre-existing condition, when his administration is the one that's in court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act's provision on pre-existing conditions, and place more millions and millions of Americans at the mercy of the insurance companies and the pharmaceuticals. When he talked about education, setting up a fund to encourage private and religious schools to receive federal money at the expense of public education. And you notice how he called them government schools, as opposed to public institutions that are for all Americans. That is a dangerous step to finishing their attempt to try to destroy public education in this country. And when it came to the environment, talked about energy independence. So look what I've done. I have increased the volume of extraction and fossil fuel generation on our public lands and waters because I got rid of regulations that protected the environment, habitat, species, and promoted conservation. Therefore, I have created energy independence. Not once did he mention or even acknowledge the scientific fact of climate change and how that is the biggest danger facing this nation and this world. And it was a pulpit, political pulpit for him for his reelection, when you had the Republicans chanting 4 more years. On, in my time here, I've never seen that kind of a display. It became a political rally instead of the stately, important, and sober and serious discussion that previous states of the Union have always been till Trump became president. I, like I said, parallel universe. The American people are struggling to how to figure out their future. Families are struggling how to figure out their future. We're trying to fight through the division and the hate that's been generated by this administration and Trump, and trying to navigate what our future is going to look like. How do we maintain our diversity? How do we deal with climate change? How do we create opportunities? Those are questions begging solutions. There was no solutions today. When it came to guns, doesn't matter. The gun violence is going on. I will not support anything. I will only support the Second Amendment as defined by the National Rifle Association. That's what we heard today. Red meat, division, and putting religious preference above religious freedom, putting an extremist ideology above values and constitutions and the rule of law in this country. That's what we heard today. And I hope the American people realized how bizarre it was. It was a replay of The Apprentice, and unfortunately, we were all part of the cast this time. And I think it's time that the American people looked at this as I did, as something that is an aberration, and returned to some things that we are used to. Not normalcy, but dignity, integrity, and that the presidency of the United States is a sacred position, and it shouldn't be turned over and remain in the hands of a flim-flam man, a salesman, a person that is pathological when he comes to the truth and lies. And we saw it today. And if anybody needed a better example about the parallel universe that we are functioning in this country, today was it. All it did for me, and I hope it did for you, is just certify for me that we need to make some changes, and they need to be profound, and those changes begin with Donald Trump. Thank you.